Maheshwari, and welcome to the About Her show. Now, this is a show where we get trailblazing women to share the story of their lives with us, to tell us about their successes, failures, challenges, the entire thing. So, not only do they get to showcase themselves and talk about their lives, but at the same time, they get to inspire the listeners. I mean, women who are listening, who have dreams, ambitions, aspirations, but for one reason or the other are not able to chase them, achieve them. So, you also are going to inspire someone out there. And eventually, we want to build a community of women who are there to support, empower, mentor, and be there for each other. So, a very, very warm welcome to you.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's such an honor. And I admire you so much and everything you do. So it just feels extra special to be on your podcast. Thank you so much.
I feel extra special having you, and especially in the light of your achievements and what you're going to be doing. So, all the best to you. But yes, let's start with
Thank you.
this. And so, just like a little icebreaker, so can you tell us a little bit about your early life, childhood, your journey, and how you came to be in the space of shooting?
Well, I grew up in a very rural part of Rajasthan,
Okay.
and I'm so grateful that I did.
Mhm.
For me, my early childhood years and my core memories are only about being competitive with my brother and learning different sports and being outdoors with them, with my dad, my grandfather, my mom. In fact, we had a little air gun that my grandfather got us, and I just remember using anything I could as a target, m- let it be like a bottle, a paper target, and just like lots of aiming practice because I wanted to be better than my brother.
Okay. Okay.
So those are like my core memories as always outdoors, living on a farm surrounded by lots of animals. And yeah, that was, I think, the biggest impact in my life for who I am, the profession I've chosen, how much joy and passion I have for it. I think it all stems from there.
So, I mean, you're saying that your grandfather was into shooting and that's how you got inspired?
Yes, my grandfather was so passionate about shotgun shooting. He used to be a double trap shooter.
Okay.
We lost him when I was 14, 15. And just because of how deeply this sport mattered to him and how much that impacted me is the reason I became a professional shooter. I wanted to almost some way honor him and the legacy he left for us and the love that he left for this sport for me. And I'm so glad it's like the best thing that one can pass down, I guess,
Lovely.
for your
Oh,
grandchildren for sure.
yeah, that's a legacy. So, when you decided to pick up this sport, which is unconventional, I guess, for a lot of people, and especially for girls, so were there any challenges that you faced because of the sport and because of the fact of your gender? The fact that you are a
Definitely, definitely. Uh, I think any woman in any profession and any sport would definitely say yes to that. But shooting in particular is a challenging sport to have in India as well. It
Mm.
is a very inaccessible and a very expensive sport with very limited resources in our country. We have to import everything, and there's a lot of legal work goes because you have a shotgun, so it needs to be licensed, and the gun's heavy, and there are lots of basic aspects of the sport which are very challenging to always begin with. There are lack of good coaches as well when you're starting out. At least back in the day when I started, there were.
Mhm.
But yes, gender, yes, because I almost know of no one at 15 and 16 while I was in the boarding school who wanted to professionally pick a sport.
Mm.
And when I decided to do it professionally, because I started playing for India when I was 16 years old,
Okay, okay.
um, it was it was almost unheard of for people around me because there are just such norms of and beauty standards of what women should look like, what they should be, the kind of professions which are more female oriented and understood like that, or what suits a girl.
Mm.
Um, and the way you look, what your body structure would look like if you were outdoors in the sun too long, how muscular you are. And it's not easy being a girl and traveling alone around the world with a completely unknown team,
Mm.
and to build the relations and equations all from a place of respect and professionalism can be very challenging, because most people don't understand a very good, and like they don't most people don't have a very deep understanding of what professionalism is.
Oh,
It
yeah.
takes a long time to get learn that, and as a girl you have to face all of it, and try your best to not let it come in the way of your game.
Yeah, I can totally
So
understand.
yeah.
I mean, even conventional professions, women face challenges. So if you do something
Yeah.
unconventional, that I guess adds to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And it is a difficult sport.
definitely.
So yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I know of nobody, no, I was in a boarding school in Mayo, and there were about 700 odd girls. There were like over 100 girls in my batch, and I'm the only person who decided to pick a career in sports.
Yeah. And that
And
too.
I come, yeah, and that also coming from a much like, the school comes from a very privileged and uh, well sort of background.
Yeah. Yeah.
So even the accessibility is more when it comes to different events and different sports, and the infrastructure that is provided is far superior to most people have access to.
Mm.
Even then, the limitation is so much.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
understanding of choosing a sport as a profession in India, other than a man playing cricket, is
Yeah.
is completely different.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with this. Yeah. So, if you were to look back on your life, I mean, what I understand is, am I correct if I say that your grandfather was your inspiration, is your inspiration?
He's definitely the one who's, I think, in whichever way seems fit, has guided me into this.
Hmm.
Uh, but I guess the motivation and the inspiration has always tweaked along the way, because what I set out to do was to be one of the first women in India from skeet shooting to manage to go to the Olympics. So the fact that no one has done it before, this is the first time we'll have Indian skeet women competing at the Olympics, the first time ever
Great. Congratulations. I mean, that's
since the
a
history of Olympics. Yeah. So
big
I
deal.
think the last few years, just sort of shattering this limit and ceiling that's been out there for the history of our country. That's been my most inspiring motivation. Like I've just been, okay, I can do this. I want to be the one. And it almost sets a legacy for the sport in our country. And I wanted to be a part of it because I've dedicated so many years, so much to this game. It's obviously taught me a lot, given me a lot in return as well.
Mm.
But sort of doing things that are not conventional is definitely the inspiration for now. I feel like Indian women and Indian athletes are out there with the best in the world. And I don't think anyone should think that we're any less.
Wow. That's
So,
actually so inspiring. I mean, not only for girls, but for boys as well. So, so inspiring. I mean,
yeah.
you got inspired as a young kid, and then you kept that fire burning. And now this desire, this ambition to be, the first and shatter this glass ceiling, so to say. Absolutely. I mean, that's amazing. Kudos to you. And all the best, of course. All right.
Thank you.
So, Aishwarya, if any young girl in today's age wants to get into this space, shooting, so are there just 3 tips that come to the top of your mind which you think are necessary for anyone, for that matter, to succeed in this space, to make a name for themselves?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, first of all, I would insist on everyone to give this sport a try. It's so dynamic, it's so interesting, and it's so insightful that I mean, if not doing it professionally as a hobby or just to see what the sport is all about, I would really hope that there are more people trying it.
Yeah.
Uh, for someone to really pick it up, I would say always start with a good coach because it's easier to learn than unlearn,
Yeah. Yeah. Of course.
always. And I guess have a very good understanding of who you are, because this game's 50% a mental game.
Okay.
And if you have a deeper understanding of who you are, if you're kinder to yourself, if you see yourself in a better light,
Hmm.
half the game's won.
Okay. Okay.
And that's easier said than done, because I think it's very normal for us humans, or for ourselves, to actually judge us.
Hmm.
And the sport is the sport is almost supposed to set you free.
Okay.
So I would say having a very good connection with who you are and understanding of who you are is half the game won.
Okay.
And third would be to absolutely enjoy it.
Okay. All right.
Anything you do, like the moment the fun is sucked out of it, it's going to feel like a very sad job you don't want to be a part of, because in any sport, 90% doesn't cut it.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
You need to give more than your 100% to maybe get half of what you put in,
Okay.
because sport is a very unforgiving space.
Hmm. Hmm.
It needs all of you to give some return.
Okay.
You can't half it.
Hmm. Hmm. So that passion will only come if
Yeah,
you're 100%, right?
yeah,
Okay. All right.
definitely.
So, of course, there is this side to you where, of course, you're into it and going for the Olympics and practicing hard. So that's like your professional side. And then there is a personal life also. And
Yeah,
the kind of world that we live in, the society, there is a greater burden on women, on girls for taking care of societal norms and, being there and all of that. So balancing the two sides becomes a greater challenge for women than it is for men.
yeah.
So how do you balance it?
Ah, I'm not gonna lie, it's really hard, and sometimes I don't manage very well.
Mm.
But what I've realized is something that the game has taught me is be present.
Okay, okay.
Just, and that is in a capacity of saying, if I'm with you and if I can just be very authentic in that moment with you and give you all the love and respect, going back home to unwind, I know at the end of the day, I'm still my parents' daughter. I am a daughter-in-law now. I am a wife, and I need to. I understand that sport is a very important part of my life, but still a part of my life and family can never come second.
Yes.
So, or friends for that matter. So,
Mm.
and it's so important to have them in your life to create that balance. So I do go back and try to be just present with them, do all the activities that are important to them, check in on them regularly, because shooting is a very individualistic sport. It makes you very inherently selfish.
Mhm.
You're always thinking about yourself.
Mm.
So, and if you don't keep it in check, it naturally becomes a habit where you're constantly thinking about yourself. So I have to keep myself in check, where I'm like, okay, my matches are done, my husband needs me, or my matches are done, I need to go check in on my ma, or
Mm.
something or the other. But yeah, it's tough, it's not easy. It's very important to have friends and family who understand what you do,
Yeah,
um, and their understanding helps a lot in keeping the balance.
yeah, yeah, I'm sure. Because you are
Yeah.
trying to do it, and if they understand that you are putting in
Yeah.
the effort, then I'm sure, it makes things easier for you.
It is a struggle, but no matter who you are, you can be like an Olympic gold medalist or a world champion. You still go back home, and for your parents and your family, you are who you are,
Mm.
away from all this.
Yeah.
And I think women will always have it a little harder, because by the end, we're the homemakers. I still go home and I have to check in, okay, what are we having for dinner? Do we have anyone coming over? Like, I
Yeah.
have to fill those roles as well. And sometimes I do find it very powerful
Mm.
that I can be all of those people. I can be an independent athlete. I can still be uh, a homemaker. I can still be soft on other issues back at home, or be there for my friends. I don't see it as a burden anymore. I see it as a privilege. I think not many people can do that. I mean, half the genders can do that. So
Completely agree. Not, most people cannot do it. And what you said, like I was saying earlier, about being present in that moment, I think that's very, very critical. Because if you're present, you're
yeah,
100% with someone, then you are,
Exactly.
giving in, and that effort and that, the ability to do it. I mean, that shows actually. So I think that is
Yeah.
enough for somebody who understands you and understands what you're doing. So yeah, you made a
Also,
very,
people are, yeah, like people are very simple souls by the end of it, right? At the base level, all you need is respect, understanding, affection. You know someone's listening to you and cares for you. And these are such small things like being present, making sure you're not on your phone, or you're taking out that little extra time to go for a nice dinner or celebrating something small.
yeah,
These tiny goals you set for the day. I think a nice walk with your friend or your partner or something,
yeah.
they really go a long way.
Absolutely. So tell me, ups and downs are a part of our lives. There are
Yes.
days and there are moments, there are situations which pull us back, and sometimes we don't know what to do. So when you're faced with something like this, a setback or a disappointment, how do you get back on track?
Uh, that's solely based on what I do professionally. I think I have advantage there because there is nothing in life that teaches you how to fail except sports.
Okay.
Sports literally prepares you for failure at every step. I have learned to fail 500 times before I learned to win once.
Wow.
Uh, Recently, I had one of my biggest achievements. It has taken me 2 years of failing to
Hmm.
get it right once.
Hmm. Hmm.
So if it's something that is in practice, getting up and picking yourself up almost becomes habitual.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because I believe committing to something is very important. Seeing things through is really important. I feel though maybe with how fast-paced the world is and how short-lived things are becoming, maybe my generation and the younger generation feels like there's something better coming along
Hmm.
all the time. It
Mhm.
may be in careers, it may be in relationships, it may be in professional choices, anything. And I feel like sometimes you just need to stick it out. If you know you're giving your best,
Yeah.
you understand that your good is good enough.
Mhm.
And that'll always be the case. If you're giving your best, your good will always be good enough for the
Yes.
person, for the job. And it's so important to stick it out. It's so important to have a consistent routine, a habit of how you're working towards something, no
Mm.
matter what it is. A good friendship doesn't just happen. You're committing yourself to a person, caring for their needs for years.
Yeah.
That's how you build trust and loyalty. It doesn't happen overnight. And that's the same for the sport. And so it's you invest in a couple of wrong ideas or techniques or people, like it can be applied for anything.
Yeah, yeah, of
And
course.
then you get the right one. And when something clicks, you know this is right and you're moving in the right direction. And then lots of small goals that I set along the way help me stay aligned to my direction
Okay.
because failure is inevitable. You're
Yeah.
never going to, yeah, like you can have moments of where you're peaking and you're performing well. There'll always be a dip. The sport is about missing and hitting the targets. You can't just hit the targets.
True, true, true.
So yeah.
So yeah, so that's a great life lesson, because in life also it's very, very similar.
Right.
There are hits and misses. So if yes, so you are right, your sport does give you that advantage of,
Yeah.
being able to deal with the misses, and like you said, sticking it out is so, so critical. Okay.
Yeah.
So Maheshwari, young girls who are on the threshold of their personal and professional lives, like 18, 19-year olds. Is there any piece of advice that you would like to give them? I mean, what is it that they should keep in mind while they are, just about to embark on their professional lives, and of course, taking up more responsibilities as far as their personal lives are concerned?
I would say, I think initial years, it's about trying and seeing what fits well. Where do you find yourself and small joys the
Mhm.
most? It is if something doesn't feel authentic to you or your principles, it's not for you.
Okay.
Because I feel if all the good inside you or the best parts of your personality get altered in a space, that space isn't for you. You're not in the right room.
Mm-hmm.
Or it can be said for the same people, you're probably not in the right crowd if you don't feel very true to yourself. Uh, it's something that I used to like work about is how far you have a real self and ideal self. The closer the gap,
Mm-hmm.
the more in tune you are with yourself. And you
Okay.
can apply that and you can apply that for anything. So I'd say making sure that you find joy and that sense of empowerment with what you do is the most important thing, I think, as a woman. Even if you're just deciding, I'm going to be a homemaker, but finding that as a source of empowerment and doing it very independently without just being thinking of it as just a mundane thing
Mm-hmm.
is so important. And for young girls, financial independence is so important for girls. The moment you start earning, you start, there's so much respect you have for just everyone around,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there is that extra oomph in your step that nothing but financial independence or a good paycheck gives you. Nothing.
Absolutely. I agree. Yeah, totally agree. That is so important. And you have to
Yeah.
feel it to know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And you respect, like, as someone who's recently married, my husband and I were a young couple, and I understand what he does and I respect how he works a lot more because I work too.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
He brings something to the table and so do I. And
Mm-hmm.
so I respect how we use our resources as well.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not I'm not ordering things around.
correct, correct. Which
Yeah.
is okay. So we look around us and we find that women, they are like all over. They're making a name for themselves in practically
Yeah.
any and every field that you see. But despite that, we still find that there are a number of challenges, a number of biases that they still have to face. So,
Yeah.
what do you think about it? I mean, what are the kinds of challenges that they still have to face?
I mean, I can't even begin. I think there are just challenges at everything from the moment you step out of your house in the morning, the amount of work you've done before leaving the house in the morning,
Yeah.
to going to a job where sometimes your colleague at the same level is getting paid more just
Mhm.
based on the gender. I mean, the challenges are endless. You taking a cab is a challenge because you want to be safe.
Yeah.
uh we've almost, I think today's generation of women has almost gone into like a auto correct setting of they're just like blinders on and just doing what they have to do. But I don't think anyone except women, like I don't think the men would ever understand the very basic everyday challenges that we have. Just with you want to be safe all the time. That's the most like human or like natural thing, right? Like a
Indeed.
animal instinct, like sense of being safe starts from there. And but I do feel that a lot of women are speaking up. They're putting their foot down. There is a big shift in what's okay, where a woman draws the boundary in any relationship, any professional space.
Mhm.
And I think we're in, I mean, I think it's a good time to be in India and slowly moving towards, I think, a future where I think people think twice about how they behave and say things.
Mhm.
And it's definitely, if all the change hasn't come overnight, it's taken generations of women to bring this on. And then we just have to keep doing the same thing and do our best
Yeah.
and hope for the best for the coming generations. And hopefully, we're having this conversation 10 years later with a younger athlete. She won't have to face the same issues.
Well, yes, hope so. Yeah, so yes, progress is happening. It's taking place. It's slow. We still have miles to go, but
Yeah,
I think what is positive is that it's happening. Conversations are happening. People are talking about
yeah,
it, and that is increasing awareness. And like you said, people now, men have to think twice before they do
yeah.
anything. And that awareness is spreading for sure. Yeah.
Also, men that are being raised right, like
Yes.
so much credit to them. There are women who just so, I mean, I know your boys, they're amazing. And you're such a one-man army woman. You're doing everything. And there are people like you who raise such wonderful boys who just know how to be. And I
I,
can't take credit away from that because me raising men right is the most
yes,
important
the
thing.
most important thing. Absolutely. To start from there,
Yeah.
that is where it starts.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Maheshwari, on the one hand, of course, we're saying that there are still, like, we have miles to go in terms of the challenges that we are facing and the biases which still exist. But at the same time, we also see that there are conversations happening around us. Women are talking, they're putting their views forward. So, how do you think these kind of conversations are going to help in terms of maybe reshaping the societal norms, beliefs, the way people think?
I mean, the entire world, when started, was all based on just very wise people talking.
Yeah.
And it's so important to have an exchange of ideas, ideologies, philosophies.
Mm.
Uh, I mean, without speaking up and without putting your point on the table or across the table, there is no way you can be heard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in fact, we need, from whatever where we're at, I think the conversations and the exchange of dialogues need to go maybe tenfold more
Mm-hmm.
just for us to even feel like there's a change. It
Mm.
is, and it has to be a generational thing. I think women from all ages and in fact men as well, uh, should from all age groups, from schools to, I mean, office rooms to office meeting rooms to, I would say, grandparents in parks. I don't care, like everyone should be talking because by the end it comes down to who you are and your mental health. And I mean, it's not fair for anyone to be in a place where they feel unseen or unheard.
Correct, correct. And yes, unless and until we talk about it, we who are at the
Yeah.
receiving end, unless and until
Yeah.
we voice it and we say that we cannot accept it or we don't like it or whatever it is that we don't
Yeah.
find right, nobody is going to come to our rescue. We have,
Everyone's stories matter so much,
yeah,
and there's so much for us to learn because when you start hearing and listening to people, you're like, okay, I'm not alone.
yeah,
Okay, I
yeah,
can do this, or I can do that, or this is not okay, or this is because now today, I think the best part about having so much technology is using it in the right capacity
yeah,
and having exchange of dialogues, putting yourself out there. I think it gives you that platform. You
yeah,
can express it through art, you can express it through a dialogue. There are like millions of options out there, but
yeah,
you have to make the first move.
absolutely.
You have to be ready.
So if you don't say, then who's going to say it for you?
Exactly.
So we were talking about, you just mentioned mental health. There is a lot of
Yeah.
talk, all around us. There is a lot of awareness. People are talking about mental health issues and how, it's affecting everybody. But do you think in all these conversations happening around us, women's mental health is getting as much attention as it should, or like it's one of those things which people again don't really want to talk about?
I think we've generalized behaviors and reactions of how things go so much that
Mm-hmm.
if someone speaks up on very normal things, people are like, "Oh, you're making a big deal out of it. That's completely normal."
Uh,
When I don't think there is anything as normal. I don't think normal exists.
yeah,
Uh, so yes, I feel in that capacity, a lot of things get overlooked. A lot of emotions get and feelings get overlooked, and I think that needs to change because um, just a small joke can really hurt someone's
yeah, yeah,
just emotional being and how they look at themselves or how they think about themselves as well. Because we are a part of a society. What people around us think, of course, it affects us. Of course, it matters.
yeah.
But I feel like generally, um, mental health is important for everyone. So I feel like even if you don't put a gender to it,
Mm-hmm.
but if we're just respectful of how we communicate with others, uh, is I think, and have that, of course, have that dialogue.
Yeah.
I think it can change generations overnight.
That is
I
true.
think it has that much power. It really does. It's the most important thing.
And of course, conversation that, of course, it is not gender specific in that sense, but yes,
Yeah.
even, I mean,
No, but there are a lot of basic things just that are just specific to women that get overlooked. I mean,
yeah,
just of some what you're expecting. Today, you and I can still, I think we're fortunate enough to even have these conversations. We
yeah,
look at, let's say, our house help.
yeah,
They've just normalized half the things they experience because they think it's normal,
yeah,
or ye to hota hi hai type,
yeah, yeah,
uh, and they would like come out and be working. I mean, look at these women. They're so fierce. They're out there working hours, shifts, homes. They go back, they take care of their homes, their kids. I don't, I mean, I don't think anyone's checking in on them.
yeah, yeah, you're so right. Yes.
They're like, ये तो तुम्हारा काम है, तुम घर की
Yeah.
हो, तुम नहीं करोगी तो कौन करेगा type. And
And then
that's
it
fine.
becomes a part of your persona that you, as a woman, also start saying, but
Exactly.
this is what I have to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
And they're
yeah,
like, oh, am I crying for no reason? Or are they, why is it such a big deal? Sabhi kar rahe, why am I not able to do it?
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, just look at how difficult postpartum is for women.
yeah.
And people think, yeah, everyone has a kid.
Everyone.
No
Again.
one's dealing with how every day your hormones, women, without just how our cycles work. We
Yeah,
go through hormone
of
changes like every
all the
day.
time, all the
And
time.
exactly,
Yeah,
with ages, with like different
absolutely.
age brackets, to different fields of work, to being an athlete and being out there with it. And
Yeah, yeah,
it's,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's true.
But yeah, it's normal, so no one talks about it.
Talks about it, but yes, one should. And like you,
Yeah,
when you talk about it and you say that, okay, I'm going through this issue, somebody else will just kind of resonate with
relate to
them,
it.
and they,
Yeah.
that is what is important. So again, like coming back to conversations, it's important to talk about these things. We may not be able to offer any
Exactly.
solution, but the fact that
Yeah,
what you're facing is okay, and you
exactly.
need to talk about it. I think that,
Sometimes you just want to be heard.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. Just
that,
someone to understand.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
even asking for a knight in shining armor to come
No,
fix
no,
everything. You're just like, yeah, I just need, I just need a good conversation. I want to be heard and seen, and that's it.
that's about it, yeah. But yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is something that I am going through, and I see a lot of people going through. So for you, I mean, it is like far off in terms of age, but I'm sure you've also seen that a lot of people in their early 40s, in their midlives, basically, are switching professions and careers and taking on things which are completely opposite to what they were doing earlier, which I like to term as midlife rebooting. So, what are your
Okay.
views on it? I mean, I would just love to know. I've spoken to people who are going through it, but you're someone who is like
Okay.
far, far from it. So, what do you have to say about it?
I personally think it's great.
Yeah.
I think, because
Yeah.
I genuinely think, I mean, that age is just a number.
Yeah.
And I don't think you're ever too young or too old to do something.
True. I
I
agree.
it in fact, I admire people who, after successful careers or having done something for all these years or have been in a certain setup for all these years, decide, no, this isn't giving me the joy it should. I'm changing at
Hmm.
40, 50, at any age. At You see veterans like 60 plus people who are like, I am starting my own, home care brand or something. And I know like old women who have started doing, like, made their gardening into like Instagram things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think it's one of the biggest steps you can take to be kinder to yourself, or
Hmm.
using your time or your energy for something at least that you value more.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So I think it takes a certain fiber in a person to get up and say, I'm changing this around, because change is inevitable and everything is a choice. So
Yeah.
it is so important to make choices for yourself, because if you're not happy, and if you're not getting the gratification that you should with all the amount of energy, work, and sacrifice that you put into something,
Hmm.
uh, I don't think you will be able to radiate that around you at all.
Absolutely. I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
You have to be happy. And if you're finding happiness in something, so I think having
Yeah.
the courage to switch, I think it's
Yeah, it's
because it's not easy.
exactly. It's one life. You're living one life, and
Yeah.
you there is nothing before and after, or
Correct.
nothing that we know of.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't think and it's too short, I mean, people before passing away always have more regrets than they do
True. True.
any other conversation. So I think everyone should have the courage to switch. If this doesn't work, move on to the next. If it
Yeah.
doesn't work, move on to the next.
Make the most of the life that you have.
Yeah, of course.
So, Maheshwari, if you look towards your future, I mean, looking ahead in that sense, any personal, professional aspirations that you have? So, you're going to the Olympics. What next?
Um, right now, for me, the future is the
Yeah.
Olympics.
Yeah.
It is something that I've been dreaming and hoping for over a decade now.
Hmm.
Um, so it's still settling in,
Yeah.
but it is it's for now doing my best at it and pushing myself in ways I don't think I ever have. I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to discovering what it takes to be an Olympian. I'm looking forward to putting in the work the next few months harder than I ever have worked. So I
Mhm.
am excited about all the challenges coming up. But for a longer run, I think because sports life always has a shelf life.
Yeah.
Uh, I love painting. I want to continue with my art, and I want to have my own NGO or a shelter for animals. I love, love, love animals. They've been the biggest part of my life,
Okay.
and I look forward to a more simpler living, I suppose. I'm a farm kid growing my own veggies and taking care of my cattle, and
Yeah.
I'm very happy to do that and have my own little space with my family. Um, just doing that, I don't have too many demands, but along the way, I hope to sort of, I guess, make everyone aware of how precious our planet and our country is. And that's all I want to do.
That's
Yeah.
quite a lot. And I think, it's like, I mean, all that you said, it just speaks volumes about the kind of person that you are. Yes, your professional ambitions, of course, you worked hard, so you want to get
Yeah.
there, definitely. But then those other softer things, so whether it is your NGO or
Yeah.
it is your painting, so this just, I always feel that, these are the soft things in life which fill up all those little
Yeah.
gaps. So beautiful.
These are the like these are the things I think that you hold closest to your heart that bring you that extra smile when you go to bed.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, and no matter how the sport or like how big your paycheck is or how big the medal is or what color the medal is,
Mm.
I don't think it I don't think it gives you the kind of satisfaction that service does
Yeah,
and gratitude does. It
absolutely.
it's a great thing to go out there and aim for it and of course work towards it. But by the end, the most simple things bring you the most comfort.
I agree. I agree.
And I don't think and somehow in today's world that's changed a lot. The
Mm,
most basic things have changed a lot.
mm.
You almost have to pay for it. You almost have to, it costs something. That
Yeah,
simplicity costs today.
yeah,
And I would really like to at least influence and live a life where it's the most normal thing around.
great, great. All the best. And I'm sure if you are manifesting this, it will happen because I am a great believer of
Yes.
this. I feel that if you manifest something,
Yeah.
it will happen.
I believe that too.
So sooner or
Yeah.
later, it will happen. So, Maheshwari, now we come to the rapid fire round. Five quick
Ooh,
questions,
I'm excited.
quick answers. I mean, I think. So let's see. Simple one. I know you love doing this, so that's why I included this question. So,
Oh,
what was the last book you read and what did you like about it?
I really read a lot of shooting books, but my last book I read was The Inner Game of Tennis.
Okay.
And it's a book about how simple your mind is
Okay.
and how simple it is for your body and your mind to be in sync and take instructions.
Okay.
So it's very interesting. I think everyone should read it.
Okay. All right. So the next. So before you go, into the, the arena, so to say, for your shooting. So is there any pre-competition ritual that you have?
I always blast up my music to
Okay.
a point where I can feel the rhythm and the vibrations of the song at a level where I don't feel anything around me, or I can't take on any energy from anyone around me.
Okay.
And I try to check the temperature of the air going into my nose to really find calm.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next. If you could shoot in any location in the world, where would it be and why?
Now it would be the Paris Olympics shooting range.
I knew that.
That's that's the only place I want to be for the next 3 months.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm very excited to check out the arena there. It's newly built. It's a little away from Paris, but I can't wait to get on there.
Well, all the best, as I said. Okay.
Thank you.
So, the biggest lesson learned from a failure.
That you're all right and you're too blessed to be stressed.
Oh, okay. That's cool. And finally, what is the funniest or the most memorable reaction you've received when you have told someone that you are a competitive shooter?
Ah, It's actually you'd be surprised how often I get it. Everyone's surprised because of how tiny. I'm like, क्या? आप बंदूक भी उठा सकते हो? बंदूक आपकी जितनी heavy नहीं है. And I'm like, what? No, I'm like a professional athlete. I've been doing this. And they're like, we can't imagine. Isn't the gun as big as you? I'm like, no, it isn't. But yeah, most people, unless see me at the shooting range, wouldn't believe I'm a professional athlete.
Okay.
And I don't know if I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing.
Well, I guess they need to see
But
it.
yeah, they would never imagine. And I can be very competitive. So only people who know me know that side of me.
Well, you have to be. I mean, considering that
Yes.
what you're doing, it's not just fun and games. There is a lot of competition.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
competitive spirit has to be there.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So thank you, Maheshwari. It was indeed a
Oh,
pleasure having you on the show. Very
the pleasure is all mine.
insightful. I love talking to you. And I'd actually been looking forward to this, conversation for a very long time, but then things weren't really working out. But like when something has to happen, it
No, it
happens.
worked out. Exactly. It worked out at a better time. I'm
Yes,
fine.
yes,
We
yes,
have India has a quota now. I think
yes.
it's a better time to have the podcast.
Absolutely. So thank you. Thank you so
And
much.
no, thank you so much for having me on. I've absolutely loved this.
Thank you.